Hello, good evening. Welcome to my island, where I may have dinosaurs that I've been growing. I may have evil bug mists. I may have labs. You just don't know. It's a dystopian island, so you just kind of got to be ready for anything. If you don't know, my name's Mara. This is my channel, and it is my annual opportunity to host the Plates and Bodice Book Club. Bodice Rippers Book Club. I always get lost towards the end when I'm saying it.
Blades and bodices, we don't rip them.
Well,
we can.
They're very expensive.
YouTube
so I would
won't
not
let you.
recommend. Ripping them I think is a costly endeavor. But do you guys want to go around and say who you are?
Sure. Hi, I'm Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany. I'm not at home, so I am just the tropical island. Okay.
You got your dystopia started while you were on vacation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She's already fleeing the dystopia.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello, I'm Amanda, and I wanted to be Crocodile Dundee, and this is the best opportunity I ever have. So I'm not even going to try to do the accent, because, I mean, it'll be funny for the wrong reasons. But also, I have a giant skull from Treasure Island to drink out of, so I feel in very Crocodile Dundee today. This is very fake.
Fake, yes.
Yeah.
But,
plastic.
Yes, I feel like a skull.
But the skull is real.
The skull is real.
Skull is real, of course, obviously.
Yeah.
Crystals? What?
The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
The crossover we never asked for.
I think it would have improved it, honestly.
Yeah.
Anything would have improved it, truly.
Really, you can put Crocodile Dundee in anything, and it's great.
Yeah.
I'm Leanna from Leanna's Library, and I am a Jedi. Because what is a sci-fi detective if not a Jedi?
Sure.
Yeah. You know what? There's a lot of desert planets in that movie, so there's definitely sand aplenty for you to be frolicking.
But like they basically are like in the galaxy far, far away, the like detectives that are like going around solving things, keeping the peace, like
yeah,
It
I can see
works.
that.
It works.
I went for realism. I burn if I'm in the car for too long, so I've got a little plastic. I'm not going to survive this dystopia. This is what I'm working with if I'm on an island trying to survive. So, well, we're here, and this month was my pick.
Mm-hmm.
If I can reach it, yes, I can. Okay, The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hard one for me with my accent.
Turton.
Turton. Yeah, so this is a dystopian. Our theme this year is 2024 word. So we went with a sci-fi mystery, which I definitely think this classifies as. I did hit the brief on that. And this book, who would like to summarize this book and try to encapsulate
has anyone read Oryx and Crake?
I didn't
by
finish
Margaret
that.
Atwood?
No.
Because like I mean it's quite different ultimately in terms of like what is like that's actually going on. But like the kind of like innocence on the beach in this world that you're like, I'm not exactly sure where we are or when we are, kind of reminded me a little bit of Oryx and Crake.
I haven't read. I tried to read that when I was in high school and I bailed on it, but I believe
I read the third book in the series for a challenge video and hated it.
Oh, I didn't even know it was a series.
Yeah, it's the Mad Adam trilogy.
I had to read the third one because it was a sci-fi Goodreads winner.
But you skipped right to the third one. Okay.
It was terrible.
So
did not make me want to go back.
Yeah, it didn't entice you to read on.
No.
But this book in particular was about there's like an island, and then there's like a fog around the island, and then there's these scientists, and they're like, hey, we're trying to get rid of the fog because there's like flesh-eating bugs in it, and like the whole world is fog, and there's just people on the island. They're like, wow, these scientists are great guys. We like them a lot. And then one of the scientists gets murdered, which sets off a chain reaction, getting rid of all the borders around the island. So now the fog is coming. So we have a race against time. Because if you catch the killer and execute them, it resets and you'll be safe.
Yeah, save the island.
Save the cheerleader.
Save the cheerleader.
Yes,
Save the
save
world.
the world.
It must be one of the most contrived ticking time bombs that I've ever encountered.
We will get there for sure.
First, we're just at like what the plot was.
Yeah, that was a very good summary for a book that I would argue was very complex, but that was a very concise, concise summary.
Look at me. I'm good at concising things. What's the word for that? Summarizing.
Concision. You have good concision.
Sure. I mean, that sounds like too much like circumcision.
Yeah, it's like surgery.
Yeah. Or I mean, I've never tried to give one, so I don't think I'd be very good at it.
Glad you're not signing up for that.
Don't ask me to do it, guys. I don't know.
So maybe let's go around and say everybody's thoughts. Based on looking at Goodreads this afternoon, I realized that I accidentally picked a very polarizing book. A lot of people really love it. A lot of people really don't. So it'll be interesting to see where we shake out on it. So
yeah. So I really liked it, and I wasn't expecting to because I did not like his first book.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably wouldn't have picked it up if it wasn't a book club pick, but I really enjoyed it. Part of it is I love a sci-fi murder mystery, and I had a really good time with it. I thought it was interesting and kept my attention. I thought the choice of narrator was kind of clever. I had a good time. I gave it 5 stars. So
love it. Okay. Yeah. Amanda, what'd you think?
I gave it 3 stars in the end. I'm kind of like, it's all right. Like, I'm not upset with it. I will say it felt predictable, even though, I mean, it's supposed to have a lot of twists in there, but I'm like, were they supposed to be twists, or were you supposed to just understand right away? So that was my biggest problem, which took off some stars, because I was like, yeah, obviously that's what's going on. But yeah, no, I don't have any beef with it. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It's all right. We're on good terms.
Neutral.
We'd say hi if we pass each other in the hall.
Okay. Leanna?
Yeah, I gave it 3, which was like a 2.5 rounded up.
Hey, for Leanna, I'm going to call that a win. I'm going to say that was pretty good.
I do not believe at the Goodreads 3 of 3 means that you liked it. 3 means I did not hate it outright.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You don't love it, you don't hate it. You're just like,
I'll take it. I'll take
3
it.
3 is true neutral.
I also gave it 3. For me, 3 means a B. Like, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. Like, it met my expectations. It was fine.
See, my 3s are more of a C or a D.
Yeah. When I was a GTA, our grading rubric is everybody would start with a B, and then you would either go up or down. So that's part of why I think of a 3 as a B, because I just got used to doing that. But anyway, let's see here. 3 and a 4. Okay. Maybe let's start with the narrator, because I think that based on the Goodreads reviews I was reading is a very divisive topic. So Bethany, you liked the narrator. What, and if you're watching this,
before we speak about substance, which we should talk about substance, but when you speak of narrator, there's also the audiobook narrator. And
how was that?
Well, I was going to say, like, it was really like a weird choice to have a male narrator for this voice that is like constantly referred to as a female. And so it's like constantly being told to you that, like, every time they referred to Abby and they're like, oh, Abby, she, you know, like whatever. I was just like, huh? Because like the voice of Abby is a very like aggressively like British man speaking in like manliness. I was
like, I liked that choice.
Because
I thought it was intentional, because the whole point is that it's AI, and that even though everybody thinks Abby is one thing, she's like, Abby is not what people think it is.
When they talk about like the voice they hear from Abby, like
Yeah, but I took it as
not
like,
the one we're
narration
hearing.
we're getting is like Abby's voice to itself versus the voice that they're hearing. I don't know that. So I liked it. I thought it was an interesting, but I mean, I can see how that would be weird, but like I thought it was an interesting choice and like highlighted the fact that this is an AI who is dissembling with humanity, or
I
with,
think
like,
you're giving it too much credit, and I think whoever chose the narrator hadn't read the book and was like, "Ah, a mystery. We'll get this British sounding man. That's
Was
what
he
you do."
was he a good narrator aside from his appropriateness?
And he definitely did the kind of like dry
It was an
delivery
AI
that one
voice.
would kind of think of as being a robot, but
Yeah. Which when I first started the book, I was like, what is this narration choice? And then once I realized that the narrator was an AI, I was like, oh, I get it. This is perfect, actually.
Yeah.
So
I guess we should also say spoilers.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is spoiler. I mean, we're assuming everybody has read the book. We're discussing it. I will say, as reading it with my eyeballs, it was very confusing, or not very. I at times was confused because Abby and Adil, I don't know how it was pronounced, Adil. Abby was spelled ABI. So sometimes I would accidentally get and I'd be like, wait, what? And then I would remember.
You mean the
Just-
experience of reading Fire and Blood by George R. R. Martin when there's Rhaena, Rhaenys, Rhaenyra, and they're all talking to each other?
It was giving very War and Peace, where everybody has like the same name, but just like slightly different consonants, like Scrabble board shuffled up.
Mm-hmm.
But I was wondering what the audiobook, because I didn't love the narration choice. I think it was going for purposeful disorientation, and for me, it wasn't totally successful. But I wondered if it would be more effective in audio, because maybe some of the performance could like kind of conceal the fact that Abby's being purposefully unforthcoming with us as the audience. Like, I don't know if that helped or hurt that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't think about it either way. I was just like, yeah, they're doing an okay job. They have like some emotions when they're speaking. I felt like they were selling it. I didn't think about the genders of the of the AI. I was just like, yeah, they're doing stuff. I didn't really think about it, honestly.
I guess because also like the voice of Hal in 2001: Space Odyssey was kind of the vibe of this narrator. But then like in terms of the text and how the text is describing Abby and how people perceive Abby and the voice they hear for Abby and that she's called Abby, I was like, it's very much not 2001: Space Odyssey voice. Like if I was reading it with my eyeballs, that's not the voice that I would imagine for it, the one that I'm currently hearing.
I guess to me, like I read it as more ominous, I guess, almost, or not ominous, but like the choice of the narrator and the way that it was done with the audiobook signaled to me that like, okay, people think this is a god, and this is clearly not. Like, this is something that's like doing something according to programming and has its own goals.
But like they think of it very like not affectionately, maybe is the word, but like they have a very like good they think well of it and they trust it and they like, and so then I feel like as the reader
that's what a lot of people are like with God, though.
I know, but
That
I
is
think
true.
as the reader, I want to be on that journey with them of like feeling reliant in a positive way on this thing, and then unpacking the realization that that might not be the right instinct to have, because like AI has like, you know, convinced you through like the niceness of its sound and the niceness of its words that like you're like, oh, this is like this like human woman that I'm like his kind of mother like, and kind of like the voice in your head, the angel on your shoulder that's kind of guiding you. And like I as the reader, I think if I'd read it physically would have like, I mean, I'm on the lookout for like something because it's a mystery book, but you know, to kind of like experience that, as opposed to it genuinely literally just sounds like Hal from 2001: Space Odyssey, which is like, okay, well I immediately distrust this, so like at no point am I like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe it's like, no, you're clearly evil. That's
Well,
just like
okay,
from page
okay.
one.
Here's the thing I feel about it there. Like if I was reading it, the narrator of the book, not the sounds that they're making. I think it's supposed to sound a certain way to us, but the people in the book, the characters in the book, hear it differently because they don't understand the difference.
That's what I was saying.
So that's what I got out of it. And also I kind of like that it's artificial intelligent, but it hadn't really formed its own personality. it's still very much a robot in the way it thinks about itself. Where it's just like, oh, but she told me I had to do this, so I'm going to do it. And even if it means that they're going to get destroyed and like turned off, they didn't really have any feelings about it either way. They're just like, yeah, I'm a robot. Like, I don't think of these things.
Yeah.
So it was kind of interesting that it was so robot, because a lot of times we get like Hal, who said like, oh no, I'm scared when he's being turned off. And this one had no feelings about it. So I kind of liked it. I don't know. I don't have a lot of big feels about this book in general, but like, I thought that was kind of what they were going for. And I think they achieved that objective.
I mean, Leanna, I see what you're saying. And I think that would have been a different kind of book. I enjoyed this because I feel like instead what it was to me was more like, oh, as the reader, you're kind of in on it. Like the narrator is
For
telling
humans.
you about like what they did and what happened, and like giving you a peek behind the curtain, and yet you're still not getting all the information until later on in the book.
But,
So
like,
I
the
thought it was
narrator
fun.
presents as fairly benevolent to begin with, but at no point did I think of it as benevolent.
I didn't
because
think of it
the
as
way with the
benevolent
narrator.
either.
I will say,
No.
somebody who read it with my eyeballs, I did not pick up on the malevolence.
Yeah. I
Until a
don't think it
little
had
ways
feelings either
in.
way. It
Um,
was
I'm
just
saying,
doing
but,
what it was programmed
the
to do.
audiobook narrator's voice made it seem malevolent, as opposed to like it's like a neutral, maybe benevolent like force, and as opposed to like immediate villain energy.
Oh, I just kind of got an emptiness from it. Maybe that's what the villain energy is, and maybe it's just translating different, because I
Maybe.
just kind of got like, it's indifferent to what's going on.
Yeah, like I kind of got that. Yeah, I mean, like I didn't ever think it was benevolent, but I just assumed it was sort of like doing what it thought was the best thing to do based on what it was programmed to do.
But like we don't
Yeah.
know it's AI to begin with, so like when you're starting this out, it already sounds like Hal before
but
you even
learn
know that
very
it's
quick-
AI.
I mean, I don't know if it tells you or if I just figured it out very quickly, but within a couple chapters, I was like, oh, this is AI.
Well, again, because I didn't have that audio clue of kind of what the vibe might be, it did take a little while. Like this, that's part of why I was wondering how the
Yeah.
audio would be versus reading, because it does have a lot more. I'm picking up from this purposeful disorientation if you don't have that audio clue to
Yeah.
like. So I don't know if that was purposeful or not, but it sounds like all
Giving
of you
itself
kind of
away.
picked up something in that choice. So
Yeah.
I think that's interesting, because that was one of my critiques of it, is I thought it was going for purposeful disorientation and not necessarily doing the best job of that in my
I don't-
experience.
Yeah,
of
because I feel like it
reading.
wasn't trying to be disorienting. I thought it was just trying to be straightforward. Maybe that's why I was like having a different reaction to it.
Yeah.
Where
I felt like it was more like dropping breadcrumbs, where the
Mhm.
picture, like one of those things where it's like you see this and then slowly more and more is revealed. Like that was my experience with the book, and I don't know, I enjoyed that.
Yeah. And it's interesting because in the comments, like, very divided. Some people really liked the audio and other people like DNF'd because
Really
they didn't
didn't
like
like
the audio. So that's always just interesting to me to like think about how our reading, like even just like the medium is the message or whatever that is. Like that
I mean,
definitely
this is kind
impacts
of
our
like the
reading
problem with
experience.
like narrators that are really good. Like Stephen Pacey comes to mind for First Law, who like do character voice so well. But there are scenes where an author has not yet told you who is speaking and is playing with like the fact that they don't want to have told you yet. That like they want you to misdirect you, that you might think it's someone else speaking, and then finally they give you the dialogue tag and you're like, oh, that's who's talking. But like when you have a narrator that is like full on committed to always doing the exact voice they have for that character, you're like, obviously I know who's speaking right now because that's the voice of that character.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a different experience. I don't know, like for me, it didn't detract from my enjoyment of the book, but also I didn't go. I mean, the thing is too is I went in with very low expectations because I disliked his first book so much.
Yeah, maybe
I'm having a great
like-
time. This is really good.
That would be fun.
This is interesting because I would say I've liked each book less. So the first one I gave, I think, a 4. The second one I also gave a 4, but didn't like as much. And then this one I would say is a 3.
I like this better than the
Um,
second one, but I still like the first one best.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of things I enjoyed, what this did effectively, and actually I'm contrasting it because I just recently read Voyage of the Damned, by Frances White, which is also a speculative mystery. This, I think, did not succeed for me in the speculative element, but the mystery plot I still found very just like entertaining. Like I had fun reading the mystery part of it. So I kind of just let the speculative element go. Whereas with Voyage of the Damned, the speculative element was so distractingly not well done that it detracted from the mystery itself. And I couldn't just like have fun. So I appreciated that. Like I thought the mystery, while very contrived to Lana's point earlier in terms of like the setup for it, I had fun. Like the investigation, I had fun going along with them on.
This is a really interesting comment. The UK audiobook is narrated by Ajoa Ando, the Lady Danbury from Bridgerton.
Oh,
very
so
different.
that was your real life? That's awesome. I thought this was imaginary.
No, like
I mean, Lady Danbury can narrate
so
anything.
so that's interesting because that would be a really different experience having
That
her.
honestly sounds way better.
Lana's like, should I go listen to
should have done the UK
chapter?
audiobook.
Yeah.
There are several UK audiobooks that I'm just like, why does it have to be different? But then there are some US ones that are better. So I don't know. Can I just like have available both and I choose?
Yes, that would be lovely. Yeah, they definitely have better editions normally. So
like the covers. I don't think. I think the UK edition of this book was not very different.
I don't think so. And actually, they, sprayed edges are all the rage these days. So, they really, if you will,
in general, the cover,
one, so.
like the colors were very like, giving like rainbow sherbet.
Yeah, I actually like the I like the cover design and stuff of this a lot.
I mean, all three of his books have very, very like they are aesthetically very beautiful books.
Yeah, they definitely are not skimping on promoting his books, so good for him.
Yeah, I never read Devil in the Dark Water because I disliked Devil in Hardcastle so much. So again, like I wouldn't have picked this up except for book club, and I
Mara liked that better, and I liked that worse. So take that for what you will.
Oh, from this book,
yeah.
To me, I think part of why I liked it better is because some of the plot stuff reminds me of this book, and I liked it better the first time. But I don't want to spoil that book, so I won't get into that.
Of Evelyn Hardcastle or Devil in the Dark Water?
Devil in the Dark Water.
Interesting.
I've only read this one.
Okay. Oh, you didn't read Evelyn Hardcastle?
Not yet. I know.
I know you avoided. I feel like it was everywhere.
Girl,
it came out.
You want to know what's even worse? I think you gave me a copy for Christmas, and I still haven't read it.
That's so funny. It's entertaining. It's an entertaining book, and I think it's better than this one. But
I have to read it. I know.
Definitely disagree.
I definitely disagree, but that's fine. I think I gave it like 2 stars. And it was one of my worst of the year.
That's the one that I've liked best. Yeah. But I think all three of his books have the same problem, which is that like he's good at coming up with like an intriguing premise and absolutely terrible at sticking the landing.
I think the endings in all three have been the weakest parts of the book. I would agree with that.
Okay, because I thought this ending was very weak, and I didn't know if that was just me because it was just kind of wrapped.
Even though I like Evelyn Hardcastle better, but this ending is arguably less of a is a better, more cohesive, better payoff ending than Evelyn Hardcastle. Evelyn Hardcastle as the ending, you're just like, what?
I hated the ending of Evelyn Hardcastle. I was so annoyed.
I don't want to spoil that one for people who haven't read it because I
the way I've described it when I've reviewed it
catch
before.
The killer, I'm assssuming.
Well, the end of Evelyn Hardcastle with nothing specific, no spoilers, is just that the way it ends,
hard left.
The way it ends, it suddenly introduces something that brings up so many more questions than you had before, and then it just ends. And you're like, the way you ended it didn't answer anything. It only created questions, and then it's over.
I will say my consistent critique, having read all three, is there are some very interesting ideas in the speculative area, and I don't know that they're always executed to my satisfaction. It varies. Different elements are more successful than others. I think the setup for this book is interesting. Yeah. The premise is cool. It definitely, if you have read any dystopia or sci-fi, you have some ideas about what could be going on. Are the people outside of the fog really dead? What
episode of the Twilight Zone?
Yeah. I mean, you definitely have some suspicions, but it's a cool version of that. I was into it, but just some of the execution of it just felt really kind of just an inch deep to me. So it was
I feel like also some of the problems with all three of his books would be solved if you actually did these stories as something like an episode of The Twilight Zone, which is short. And so you can't just meander around and try to stretch this into a novel. You have the intriguing premise, and like that's kind of the whole thing of it, is just the premise of it, and to kind of be like, oh, what if? And then we end it. Because he never knows what to do with the end of it. So just have the like, what if? And then like, na credits roll. Like we don't have to like try to pay it.
But then I can tell you disagree. So what's your perspective on that?
I mean, I enjoyed. I guess the thing is, for me, I found this book just really fun.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I agree.
Oh my gosh, my kids. They're very excited because they get to like stay up late and go look at stars. So
hey, that's not so.
They could be doing way worse stuff than that. Like, let's all be happy.
Anyway, so I mean, for me, like the whole thing was fun and entertaining, and I had a good time, which is why I gave it 5 stars, because I was like, I wasn't really expecting anything specific from it. I wasn't going and looking for like deep sci-fi. I just was happy to be entertained and interested, and like thought he had some kind of interesting, entertaining ideas. And I wasn't trying super hard to guess what was happening, but I didn't guess everything that was happening.
Yeah.
It was just, it gave me what I guess wanted. And so I was happy with it.
Yeah. There were definitely elements or like plot points that I didn't guess. Like I had and I guess we can say the actual ending because we are doing spoilers. So I did have on my list of things that could be happening. That was her name, Naima, set the whole thing up. Like that definitely was on my short list of solutions. But like individual things of like, what's her name? Hui. Like what was going on with her exactly, and some of the stuff with like Adel and like how he fit into like some of the details I didn't necessarily
know.
I don't know. I felt like it was really obvious the whole time. Like the first thing I figured out, I'm like, oh, so they're not people because they all die at 60. Which is
I did not see, like I didn't.
I got it immediately. I'm like, oh, so they're not people.
See, like I did not guess that.
And then everyone always believes everything everyone tells them. I'm like, have you met people? We're a messy bunch of bitches, okay? Like people living in this much harmony, impossible. They're not people.
See, so I assumed that it was some kind of like a control thing, like a sci-fi, like where they were manipulating that, which they were in a sense manipulating them to die at that point. But I didn't assume they weren't people. The other thing too is I think like maybe 2/3 of the way through, I was like, maybe the world outside isn't all just destroyed. Like
I had that thought too. Like maybe this is an experiment and they don't know what's outside of the fog.
I mean,
but
it was like The Village by
that is what I was thinking of a lot of,
which I also really liked.
Which I feel actually, you know what? I feel very similarly to it, which is like I was into it until the reveal, and then was like, okay, I don't know that I love this, but I thought it was I had fun in it.
Yeah, it was now it's friendly Blade Runner. It's friendly Blade Runner in the future. Well, I mean, like Blade Runner is a AI person detective story, and so is this, except this one they're all friendly instead of killing people.
I guess maybe I'm still unclear. Are they like technically human or not? Like in their genetic components?
No, they don't even got human organs. They're like, what is all this gush in you? Like you have all these weird bits.
They're not human.
That's okay. So my original guess when they die at 60 and then the whole like, oh, they're born at 8, I was like, oh, they're like raising them and they're like pod people. Which I guess they kind of are, but they're not. I didn't realize that they were going to be people. Human. I thought they were like
they're
lab-grown humans that are then like
they're not human at all. Which I actually like because I always think it's interesting stories about sort of like what does it mean to be human? Like what does it mean?
Okay, well, this is one of the main reasons I considered starring this was because of this exact thing. Is because I'm so sick of like every story about AI being like, but they ultimately can't help but to feel human emotions like love, and they ultimately feel just like the Homo sapiens, and it's just like, well, they fucking wouldn't.
But that
this AI doesn't feel anything.
Like the AI was not a person.
Yeah, I didn't feel shit about these people.
The people.
Oh,
yeah,
the
but
pod.
they're not AI.
Yeah, they're
But
like
they are
they're
designed to be a
Furbies.
certain
Oh my
kind of
god, I'm
way.
sorry.
They're organic beings. I mean, they're like, that's what I like though, is this thing of like, who do we assign personhood to? Right? Like, because they're not artificial. They're like organic beings. They just are, I don't know. I liked that.
They are.
Sorry, I said they were
I-
Furbies, and then I started laughing a lot because you teach them how to speak and they learn and grow. They're Furbies,
I
but
will
like
say,
people.
I found the pod people pretty insufferable in general. I did not enjoy them as characters.
Yeah, they weren't
I didn't
supposed to have
actually-
personalities.
There wasn't a single character in this I
Furbies.
liked, to be honest. But I was interested in what was going on.
See, I liked what's her name. I'm so bad with names, but like the
Emery?
detective girl.
The main girl.
Yeah, I liked
Emery, yeah, I did not like her.
At a certain
but-
point, it was so
but I was rooting
Sherlock.
for her. Like, I mean, I wanted her to, but like, I found
You
all
wanted
of
them to not all die at the
TikTok the clock. But
And it turns out bugs don't like them anyway, so they
I
were
didn't-
fine.
Yeah, I actually like that as
I liked
as
that
a,
too.
a part of the resolution. I thought that was nice. But yeah, I don't know.
I had one part that I kind of thought was really funny in a book that wasn't supposed to be funny. Like when they all got their memory erased of that night when the doctor died.
Yeah.
And when it comes back to them that like Hui like actually made a new song on violin, which they weren't supposed to be able to do. And one of the humans is like, yeah, and it was terrible, but it was still new.
Yeah,
I thought that was so funny. Like, oh no, they didn't do a good job, but like they did something.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It
And
was
I don't know. I laughed so hard at that, and maybe it was just me. I
Yeah.
highlighted it.
yeah, I think one thing that probably would have made me really like this a lot would have been if it had gone in a campier direction. Because for me, the like serious sci-fi parts of it, I didn't think were that successful. Like they were fine, but
This is not serious sci-fi.
well, but it's going for that. I think like
That's
there's
I
a
know what I'm saying. So like
Yeah.
that's why it doesn't
There's a
work. It's 'cause you're like,
full,
if you're trying to
like-
be serious about this, this is not it.
They're
conversation.
trying their
with the-
darndest.
Yeah, conversation with the author, Rube Greedy. Gosh, sorry, my brain is fried. Reading group guide. Like it's clear that the way this is being pitched is like higher version of sci-fi dystopia,
Interesting.
which is the measure by which I'm judging it. And I think
That's
that if
interesting.
it had gone, like, I don't think it's that. So I wish that it had gone just funner, like more over the top, more campy. And I think I actually probably could have loved this if it had gone that
It
direction
needs
more.
jokes. It needs
That's
jokes
interesting
because it was so
like
serious.
I don't know if it's just me and like the audiobook choices, but like that was how I read it.
As
Was
camp?
as campy. Yeah.
Oh, I don't think that's what they're going for at all.
Apparently
Yeah.
not. I had like an early audiobook before it came out, like from NetGalley.
Oh, that everyone goes to see a play and they all hate it because it's a serious drama and everyone thought it was ridiculous. And the one reviewer that's like, this is the best comedy I've seen all year. This was brilliant.
It's like Bethany's like, you've done
No,
a
but,
beautiful work
I
of
was like, oh, this is like I read it as fun and like kind of campy with like maybe some serious undertones here and there, but like I didn't read it as that serious. I don't know.
I think it's going for,
Yeah.
art. And I just don't know that it
And his
does.
books in general are like,
Yeah,
very
I guess
serious.
so. I mean, like I think that was not how I read it, and I agree. I don't think that's what this is.
That would be interesting to do a reread, maybe with Lady Danbury as the audiobook narrator and try to hear it as camp.
Yeah.
Because
You can read me
It
anything.
turns out this is the book equivalent of a room.
it's
It's actually not a drama. It's a brilliant comedy.
You know what it
Yeah.
felt like to me? It felt like to me sort of like a mixture of like dystopian sci-fi and cozy mystery.
Yeah, that's I think what it actually was, but I
Yeah.
don't think that's what it thought it was.
Well, what makes something a cozy mystery? I should ask because, like, this, I wouldn't say this is cozy. They're
Well, it's not
roughing
exactly
it.
cozy, but it's like it's very
Small
like
town, maybe small town mystery. It doesn't
Small
have
town-
recipes in the
maybe.
back.
When the
which
I
is
don't know,
entire
like-
like,
world
but
has
I
been
also feel
destroyed,
like a lot
everything's
of
a small
cozy
town.
mysteries are kind of campy about the way that they do their characters and like the mystery solving stuff and like I mean because she's like reading Sherlock Holmes than being like Sherlock Holmes, like that's campy, right? Like is that not?
I felt it was almost histrionic, honestly. It was just so much.
I
Oh
feel
my-
like-
Girl, same, apparently. But no, sorry, I assume gender as well, but forgive me. But yeah, no, I'm just
yeah. I don't know. I would have liked if it had leaned into the camp,
Yeah.
or if it had been like truly a small town mystery. Like, imagine if this was
If it had been more
Murder,
like
She
The Village.
Wrote, but on a dystopian island. That vibe I would be very into.
oh, did you just say Clue on a dystopian island? Fuck yeah!
I said Murder, She Wrote on it. Like Mrs. Fletcher solving mysteries on this bug island.
If she went to Boca Raton on vacation and had to solve a mystery, yes.
it would be
But like
slightly
Clue on a
more-
desert island?
It would be slightly more funny to watch Poirot navigate the like uncleanliness and weirdness of the place and still try to like have his functioning gray cells.
Yeah,
put the puzzle together.
he's like trying to get his perfectly shaped eggs. And
I'm going Tim Curry on the beach with a coconut. Like I'm like now doing Clue with this.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
It's really interesting because when I reviewed this, I didn't like I wrote my review and then I went and looked at other reviews and I was like the only positive review at the time. Like everybody was really negative. And I was like, and I was reading the reviews and I was like, people were taking this stuff like so seriously. Like why? I just think like I did not.
Well, now you got me curious. Like I want to see what Goodreads recommends to me as like a comp title when I put this in, because I think that this is like like they're going for like the Station 11 crowd.
Yeah, it's not.
I mean, they do Leviathan Wakes at all. Leviathan Wakes, maybe, because that's like a sci-fi detective noir story.
Sci-fi,
but it has more jokes in it than this did.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Also, it's fungus zombies, so maybe not. But like the sci-fi detective story.
This is so interesting to me, though, that they're like hearing that they're trying to pose it as like literary serious sci-fi, like because that was just not at all.
Yes, looking through the comps, they are very clearly going for either like you're a mystery reader or you're a speculative. Like The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett is one of the recs, which I would say is a very successful speculative mystery that came out this year.
Oh,
in terms of like
agree to disagree.
It's okay. We can't always agree. But in terms, like I felt like that one was definitely more successful in having like an actual but he is a speculative author, so it probably makes sense that he was more fleshed out in that regard. But yeah, and then also like horror title comps, it looks like, or what it's recommending. So
that's interesting.
Well, like The Fog with the bugs that eat people. Like, yeah, that's a scary thing.
That is horrifying.
I guess, but it doesn't really go into it very much.
People get eaten.
All the people get eaten. I would have been into if there was more bug death or like more bug.
Yeah, because the fog was just there. It wasn't really necessarily a big plot point until it started.
The fog was the ticking time bomb.
Yeah,
I know, but like it still didn't play a big part. Like, oh, then again, I guess because there's simulacrums that they didn't even think about what's in the fog. Why is it bad? Why did it kill people? Just our main character would have thought of that actually in her book of secrets.
I did think the idea of like not being able to control just like going to sleep all of a sudden would be so
scary. Yeah, that's true.
That's because you're a human being. And to you, that loss of control would be scary. But these aren't humans.
Yeah. Again, I realized they weren't humans right away because there was a lot of clues. And I was like, was this supposed to be like, were there twists in this story?
Yeah. I mean, I just thought they were like modified or controlled or something like that.
Like the only thing I could think of is that they were maybe fake humans in a control experiment thing. Like what happens if you're trying to build society from scratch? Kind of thing, and like people were watching from the fog, which honestly could have been a better ending, frankly. But I don't know. I don't know. For me, I was just like, yeah, obviously. Like for me, I felt like it was very telling in the storytelling.
Now, I don't remember. Sorry, this is Bodice Ripper, so I guess this plays into that. Do they have genitalia? Do they have sexual organs since their children just arrive at age 8?
Yeah.
They don't talk about it, but I think they fuck.
They have sex, but they don't have children.
Okay, because that is like, but why?
Because people would buy them and they're gonna fuck them. Like, let's be real.
Why would you make
that's
that?
dark.
Probably why. Yeah.
We're the problem.
That's
People are
probably
gonna
why.
buy these things to fuck.
Because I was wondering, like, why do we even have these like contrived family systems if like you're not actually like, I don't
It's
know.
probably a management thing. Like they think it were figured out that it worked better.
I
is what
guess
it seemed like.
I was just like, if you don't have to have like
The
I don't
reason
know,
why it's
people
like
just have
that
to
is so that
know.
we would read it and be like, are these people or are they not people? But if they
Yeah,
were like
that is-
clearly had
that
no
is the
organs
actual
and no
reason.
family units,
They
you'd
all
be
had
like, oh, they are
body
definitely
crashes.
robots.
They're not even robots though. They're like a weird combo of things. I think they're like living
Yeah, they're not
tissue.
robots. They're like
They're living tissue. It's just that they're not people. They just like invented a new type of species.
They're are they they I guess I don't know.
Simulacrums, they call them, because they're almost human.
Oh yeah, I mean I know that from Dungeons and Dragons. If anybody watched the latest season of Junior High or Fancy High Junior Year, there's a very prominent simulacrum in that season named K2 who does things. But she
I mean, even Abby is a plant.
Yes,
Yeah.
I guess that's what I like. What is the definition of sentience? Like, are they sentient beings?
I think so.
I think
But
so.
I think that's the argument is I think that like some of the humans are like, no, they're not, because they don't want to have to deal with the responsibility of what it would mean for them to be treating them the way that they are if they are sentient.
Yeah, exactly. And then
That's
this
why
island,
the
they're
whole
like,
thing about,
oh,
like, creating a new violin song, even if it's bad, is scary because it means they're capable of creating it. Like
they're evolving.
they're
Yeah.
evolving, and yeah.
Well, as Kay mentions, it'd be like if the Animal Crossing citizens all of a sudden like wrote a natural poem or something. You know,
I
Because we
think
haven't
you
in real
nailed it.
life, you know, because we haven't in real life reached the singularity, then we don't actually know like if like a self like autonomous AI, like what that would look like. And in this case, it's not like they are designed in specific ways to be certain kind of ways and to think certain kind of things, and like they are programmed the way a computer program is programmed to be a certain kind of way, to be docile, to be like to listen. Like they are not just like born and you're like roll the genetic dice and you are who you are. It's like no, you are like, if anything, it's maybe
You're
if you want to say they're
cultivated.
like people, then it's like similar to like that kind of like super sci-fi eugenics of like we're not just like selectively breeding by choosing parents, but like where you're able to like go into the DNA and like choose
manipulate
specific
genes.
things. Yeah.
yeah.
So like
Yeah.
maybe that would be similar to like this situation in that sense where you're like, okay, well that would be a person, but it's like a heavily manipulated and edited person.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
actually a question I have. Like, what do they, because I know all of them kind of have a similar look to them, because they all kind of have like a
like short
mixture
and
of all
stocky,
type of
yeah.
ethnicities in their skin tone.
Mhm.
And then like they have different kinds of hair, but I'm like, how many different types of like simulacrums are there? Are they just duplicating? Like are there a bunch of the same one?
Well, they're
I don't
cloning
know.
them, right?
Well, I don't know. They might just be making new ones. But
It
I
seems
don't understand how
Isn't
their
there-
process of
wasn't there,
creating
like,
them
the
goes.
goo, like the cauldron thing where like you just when you die you go back
the-
into the goo that they make the pod people
The
from?
reason there are not answers to any of these questions is because the sci-fi-ness of this was like worked from backwards. He didn't come up with a sci-fi premise and then
It
set
was
a
a
mystery
mystery
in it. He was like, I have this idea for a mystery. Now, how do I like build in sci-fi things to like make this possible?
Yeah.
I've already decided how it's going to be. And so then like,
Yeah.
because you've built it backwards, then you're like, okay, but why is it like this? Why would I do it like this? Well, I needed them to do it like way so that this mystery would happen. You see?
Yeah. Which once I
Yeah.
kind of realized that was the situation, I stopped really worrying about the sci-fi elements and just enjoyed the mystery.
But then they spent so much time kind of talking about the sci-fi elements. Like, let us explain all the detail of this. And like, sir, the detail is not very good. I would not linger on that.
I mean, it seems like he was just like probably having fun wanting to do. So, okay, so this was my take, right? Because there's like lightly speculative elements to Evelyn Hardcastle.
Yeah, I mean it's a Groundhog Day setup, so I mean just
Right.
even in that there's a
Yeah,
speculative.
even from that, yeah. But
Yeah.
there's like some speculative elements, but it's like he didn't really do as much with it. But the vibe I got is that he maybe likes sci-fi and horror and stuff. I heard him on a panel with horror authors actually, which was really interesting. But like that maybe he just enjoys it and was like, well, maybe I've been successful enough I can get away with writing a more speculative book.
Yeah, and he,
You know?
and I was reading the little like talking to the author thing. I think he has a tech background, so like he's clearly interested in some of this kind of stuff. I do think his next one, he said, is going to be a contemporary based on this. And I'm actually quite interested in that because honestly, so far the speculative elements have consistently been my least favorite parts of his books. So I'd be interested to see what
Why
his
do you
books are
think
like
there will
without
not
that.
be why do you think there won't be a speculative element in it?
Oh, good point.
There probably will be.
Why would you think
Why
that?
did you curse my dreams?
He likes that. Like, I think he enjoys writing.
Right. It says contemporary thriller though, and I didn't think.
No, he's gonna put something speculative in it because
I mean, like
the
the other Evelyn
Yeah.
Hardcastle and The Devil in the Dark Water, they're like historical mysteries, but were they speculative? Heck yes.
But you knew that going into it. I don't know if something is built. Well, I haven't even seen the back. It takes years for him to write books, so we'll see what the plot's.
I just don't know why he would suddenly stop making them.
To make me happy.
I doubt it, but we'll see.
Yeah. Also, I have to say this is one of the books we have the most to discuss, so I think that's nice. So maybe
Yeah, we haven't gone off the
I don't
rails
think it
yet.
was a bad pick, actually. I think
Yeah.
it was, and honestly, like I was not really looking forward to reading it because of my feelings before, but then I was like, oh, I'm having a great time.
This is actually okay. Naima, Nima. How did the audiobook pronounce
I
her
think it's
name?
just Naima.
Naima. Okay, Naima. Good. If you had, I know that there's gray or whatever. If you had to like put her in the bucket of being a good guy or a bad guy, how would
I
you
think she
classify
thinks
her?
she's a good guy.
Don't they all?
They all do.
But she's also a little bit like Joseph Mengler. She's doing awful experiments on fucking people who have no consent to give.
Experiments on fucking people?
Well, not fucking people, just people. They're not fucking at the time.
They are. They do fuck. They're pod people.
No, because she brings them out of the pods and she tries to shove more of Abby into them so they don't like start wilding out on this island and killing people because humans can't be fucking trusted with their emotions. And every time she does it, they die. And she's been doing this like a lot. So I think to her experiments are for the greater good because she's like, wow, look at all these simulacrums. They don't go around murdering each other and hurting everyone's feelings. Maybe we should be more like them. So to her, she's a good guy, but obviously the experiments she's doing are horrible. And we can see that from an alternative perspective.
Doing something over and over again and expecting a different result. I think that's called brilliance.
Well, it's a scientific method. If you do it once and you get it wrong, you change your hypothesis and you do it again. So she just keeps trying with different like settings. Like maybe I can get this to work one day, and like she's gonna run out of humans.
Also, part of the scientific method is being like, okay, no, at no point has it ever been anything but failure, no matter how I tweak it. So maybe it was just going down the wrong way.
That's how the book starts, where she's like,
that's the thing is like she is obsessed with it, which I think is interesting. And there are scientists like that, where it's like they're like, no, this must be the thing. I mean, not good ones, but necessarily, but they do exist.
Well, I will say. I mean, obviously all of that was bad, but the thing that really tipped me over the edge to like, fuck this lady, was the whole, like, I still don't understand why Thea couldn't know that her sister was alive.
Yeah.
Did I must have missed something that there was a plot
because humans
reason.
suck, dude.
I guess,
that's
but I was just like, that is
simulacrums are cooler than humans.
Because she wanted the simulacrums to be able to sort of like become the new humanity.
Yeah, but like,
but it's also scientific method and trying to make your hypothesis work by changing like the formula.
Interestingly,
so
I think that both Nima and the author were approaching their work in the same way. They had decided on the end point and were trying to work backwards in a way that gets you there. And that's why they're both psychos.
If it was less of a hypothesis and more of a conclusion that she was then trying to prove versus like
but she also enslaved people. So like really, like I don't think, obviously she's not a good person, but I think she thinks she's a good person.
Yeah.
Kind of like a pirate captain would think they're an entrepreneur when they're a pirate.
Can I also say the like absolute cruelty of naming your own child I can never say that, but Hephaestus, whatever the Greek god's name is.
Hephaestus.
Who names your own child Hephaestus?
That one god with the weird club foot who's ugly and everyone hates.
And everyone hates. Like, why would you name your own if you're like, I'm naming my child, you're the worst. Like, that's the name of my child.
I wanted to learn more about his story because he was out in the fucking mist because people surviving it. Apparently, it was like Thunderdome out there.
Yeah.
And he was like, he saved what's her face's sister, and they made it to this island somehow because his
Real
mom
plot
was
happened
selling
off
spots
screen.
on the ark, essentially. So she was never a good person, let's be real.
Yeah.
But like, I'm sure she thinks she's a good person.
Yeah.
I wanted to see more of that because, like, obviously people are surviving even though these bugs eat you. But I guess some people they don't like. I don't know. There's a lot of questions here. They just like this wasn't part of the story. We don't care.
So we don't know. We don't know really. Like the text also addresses like why would this even have been created? This bug fog, and the
Did
book
they
is
do it?
The book is basically like probably is just like a weapon gone wrong.
Well, I think it was, isn't it like nanotechnology that got out of control? Like in the what it was that it was like nanotech weapons and there were world wars happening and it got out of control.
Yeah.
It was that the author wanted there to be a mystery fog that was also deadly, and he put it in and then was like, what could be a sci-fi reason for that?
Now
I
will say
so like death by
have
1,000 gnats. That's like horrifying.
Oh,
so like I'll give him credit for like style
stuff of nightmares. And we do have to grant that all books start with some sort of like authorial conceit that they are building off of. It's the author's job, however, though, to make you not realize that that's what's going on.
I don't
know, but I mean a lot of that, but I would like push back on that because like there's different approaches to like how you're going to tell a story. And some like, J.R.R. Tolkien, he built the world first and was like, why don't I tell a story in that world? How about that? Like, so like that's a very world first approach as opposed to like, I've decided this is the mystery and let me kind of like build a world.
But I would argue that in his case, the conceit is the world.
Any authors to
That's
someone like Tolkien, who is like a once in a generation writer, is like
no, he's he's the opposite extreme. But like, there's a lot of authors that approach this kind of writing, especially in the speculative fiction, which is what this is, supposed to be serious speculative fiction. That like, no, they're not Tolkien. They're not inventing languages because that's ridiculous. But like, they definitely. I mean, I don't like him, but Brandon Sanderson is a world building first kind of guy. Like that is definitely like it at least equal to like whatever.
The girl, the girl who wrote The Witchlands, which this group started from, is a like setting first person. I forget her name right now.
I would argue that is still the authorial conceit. It's just which part of the story you're most interested in. Brando Sando is obsessed with worlds.
He's like obsessed with mystery.
That's the conceit is like, I'm really into this. Now, how do I build a book around it? It's just not the plot that they're starting with.
Right. Whereas I think this was like, he writes mysteries, but he wanted to do something more speculative. So
it felt a little shoehorned in. Like, I'll be real. Like, I agree with you, Leanna. Like, it's a mystery first, and they're like, where do we put this mystery? Oh, there's a desert island, but oh wait, no, there's more.
Which I can sympathize with because you guys know that I am obsessed with an isolated closed circle mystery, right? Like I get it, and they've all been done. So we're having to think outside the box. We're having to push the boundaries of what we can do to come up with something original, but. I don't know that he concealed that that's what he was trying to do very well. It was pretty clear.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't think he was trying to do anything other than that. So
yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was just too omniscient where I was just like, yeah, duh. Like, were we supposed to like be surprised? Like, I don't know. I felt like it was so straightforward that it was easy to like haggle things that were going to happen.
I think that might have just been you.
Maybe it's just me.
You were.
I don't know. I was just on it. I was like on the same plane as Stuart Turton, apparently. Where I'm just like, yeah, duh.
It would be this.
Like, obviously, this isn't an actual murder. Like, I kind of like Abby has something to do with it, and they like set things up so like the ultimate goal of Nema would come to fruition because that was their objective. They're a computer. They're programmed to do this. I need to do all of these different things so this happens.
I do think it's so interesting, though, the idea that, like, right, because AI is programmed by humans, and, like, you program them to do a thing, but they don't, like, you might feel like the best way to do what you said they should do is one thing, but that's your feelings. And I think that's interesting, right?
They don't have feelings about it.
But they're being objective about, like, well, what is actually the way to get this done? And that might not be at all what you want to happen.
Yeah, it's like you just gave the end command.
Right.
Like,
I think that's
a choice.
Like the danger of AI because it is something that is programmed by people. It's not.
Yeah. I feel like it should have been programmed more by people. I feel like they just got the end result and they're like, I want this to happen. And then they just gave him free reign. So then like a lot of horrible things happened. Like mind enslaving, like the main Emery's husband and stuff. Like
oh yeah, that was
shit got wild at a moment in here.
Poor Jack just
because like I'm like I feel like there should have been more like objectives and design in like their AI, but it's just like you gave him too much free reign, and maybe that's saying something about the simulacrums as well. I don't know.
Nima just couldn't think of every possibility, no matter how hard she tried.
Yeah,
I will say this.
Maybe the simulacrums are going to grow and change like people too. You know, Abby got shut off. What's going to happen to them? Some petty bullshit. I don't know. They're starting.
They're going to make bad art until they start making good art in a few generations, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, art is subjective, so it could still be bad.
I will say this has the thing that I going to like signaling what was going to happen. I knew Abby was involved in some way just from the prologue, because it does the thing that all contemporary murder mystery and thrillers do, which is they give you an unnecessary prologue, making sure you know that somebody's going to die, even though it might take a while.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, I mean, I knew
it drives me crazy. I'm like, trust me that I know that this is a mystery that somebody's going to die. You don't have to give me this prologue. Telling you, like, wait, someone's gonna
death. DNF.
It's been 50 pages and nobody's dead yet. It's like, dude, I get it. It's coming. Like, I promise I trust that you're gonna kill someone.
Do you remember those old Hostess ads that were like a rhino charging at a tire because he thought it was a cupcake, and it was like, hey, where's the green filling? Where's the death filling?
Where's the death filling? It's there. It does come, and you did not need this little prologue to
oh my gosh,
let me know it was happening. Anyway, side note. Final thought.
Wow, we talked about the book this whole time.
I know. I feel like we had real discussion this time.
Wild.
Not that we
I think maybe we had more
just
things. It's better than previous books we have read where we're both just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like we
Sometimes
ran out of things to say about it.
It's so bad that we're just like, yeah, okay.
Well, I think it's interesting because a lot of times 3-star reads for me are books that I just have very little to say about. So I think it's something that it was like 3 stars for most of you, and yet there was a lot to talk about.
And yeah,
there's stuff to talk about, definitely, but it's about why I still gave it 3 stars. Like, I understand why that was happening. Like, I get it. I picked up what they were putting down. I just didn't really necessarily think they did the best they could do.
Yeah. I'll say I still will pick up his next one. I don't know that I'll pre-order it. But
punishment.
Yeah. But I appreciate I've not had a book of his yet that I wasn't entertained by, at least. And that, you know,
he's good at vibes.
Yeah, I'm into the vibes. I like the plot, usually, mostly. Yeah. So I'll keep trying. Bethany, are you willing to try a new one from him?
Maybe. I'd probably wait and see like what the premise is and what the reviews are like, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, there were a lot of things that bugged me about Evelyn Hardcastle, but this didn't do the things that bother me about that. Yeah. And I liked the ending a lot better. So yeah. Okay. We'll see. Maybe.
I'll read Evelyn Hardcastle because I haven't read it yet. I know. It's just, this is a me problem, but I need to read it, and I'll probably read that, but I don't know about anything in the future.
I think people recommend that you tandem read it with the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo.
That's too many husbands and people.
It's like Barbenheimer.
They came out the same year.
Yeah,
no, that's why they changed the title to 7.5 Depths in the United States, because we're dumb over here.
Yeah. It was like Barbenheimer. It just yeah. So this was our summer pick. And next we'll have a Halloween pick.
Yes. On my channel.
There we go.
Did you lock it down? Because we were still a little up in the air.
Yeah, I mean, I think let's just go with what I had thought. So we're gonna do The Luminous Dead by Caitlin Starling.
Okay. I'm moving it into
in October, which is sci-fi horror.
Are there
Yay.
bugs? Are there deadly bug fogs?
I have no idea.
I feel like it's glitter and zombies.
I've been told it's good to go in not knowing too much. All I know about it is that there's, I believe, a woman who ends up trapped in like on a planet in a mine situation or something. So it's like an
Okay.
isolation sci-fi horror thing.
That sounds like a me book.
So
I wanted glitter zombies. I don't know if we're gonna get them.
no,
But like, if you gave me like disco ball zombies, like we'd have a story. Like I would be interested because that's like at least a new zombie thing.
yeah, I don't think we're getting glitter zombies in this one.
Disco zombies, like oh my god, like they just wanted to dance. This was full of wine. I didn't tell anybody that.
I was gonna say zombies, famously energetic.
Some of them are. The zombie genre has changed. It
It's true. It
depends on
does
which
depend
zombies.
on the zombie
Yeah.
type.
And also, I saw the Thriller video. They can dance.
They can dance. They turn to
Oh
werewolves
yes, that
sometimes.
famous ethnography thriller.
You know what? It was probably better than a lot of things.
A beautiful documentary that really captured the culture and spirit of the zombie people.
Oh my gosh.
Well, yay.
Yeah.
So that'll be, let's see, let's do the calendar math here. It'll be around Halloween.
Yeah. Let me see what we've got.
So Halloween is on a Thursday. So we could
Yeah.
do the Saturday before.
The 26th, or we could do like the Saturday after November 2nd. Depends how
Yeah.
long you want to go for Halloween.
Yeah.
I cannot do November 2nd, so
Oh,
All right. So then the
So-
26th
so
of
the
October.
26th.
so the 26th it is.
It is.
I actually
Um,
cannot wait. Are we doing the evening? Because if it's the evening,
Yeah.
I can't do it. But if we
Okay,
do
well, we can
any
pick
other
a
time of
different
day.
day.
When?
Well, we don't know when we're going to do it yet, everybody, but we're going to do
Okay.
it
I mean, I
sometime.
could do
Yeah.
Sunday the 27th, but on Saturday evening, I have plans.
Okay.
Okay.
We could do the 27th. I don't
That's
see why
fine by
not.
me.
Or also
We'll
the
figure it
25th,
out.
Friday.
You know, I'm not even going to pick a date yet. It's 3 months out.
I mean, I should
You-
put it on my calendar because
Well,
like
2
it's
months, I
like a
guess.
week after New York Comic Con and I've got stuff going too. But do other people feel like Sunday could work? The 27th?
Yeah, that should be either of the Friday or Sunday should be fine by me.
Okay. Let's go with the 27th in the evening.
Okay.
So
Putting it in my calendar.
Still
Cool.
like 6
And so should
p.m.
all of you.
So like 9 Eastern.
6 p.m. Pacific. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that'll be on my channel. And yeah, I don't know, costumes, scary space stuff.
Scary space, scary
I want to be a
zombie.
glitter zombie. I haven't read it
You
yet,
can
but
be
I
a
like.
be a
I'm-
space glitter
Yeah,
zombie.
I'll be a glitter zombie with you because I
Sure.
could definitely. I think that would be fun to figure out the makeup to do that.
I mean, I have got to dress up like so many fun things this year, and it's been fun. Like, I got to be Crocodile Dundee today. Like, I'm having a great time. So, if I could also be Disco Zombie, like, shut up.
Listen, as long as it's a space disco zombie.
Sure, I can be a zombie anywhere. I'm a zombie. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need air and stuff. I could be anywhere.
Good point.
I'll be on the moon, being a zombie all over the place,
Yeah.
having a time of my life or unlife. I don't know what zombies consider that to be.
I've seen the documentary. I'm trying to have cultural appreciation, not appropriation.
But that's actually really appropriation.
I'm really sorry. I apologize to
Of
my
zombie
my
culture?
viewers. I will say I did have a moment when I was doing my sunburn makeup where I was like, could this be offensive? Like, because obviously there are other kinds of skin changes that one would never want to do. And so I did do a quick Google and I'm good. And I was like, this is just
No.
me. This is just my natural pigment.
Being burned is it's not brown face. I think you're safe.
Yeah. I was like, is there some sort of horrifying legacy behind this that I don't know about? But it
I mean,
does not appear
frats
so.
in general, I do think have a tendency to be sunburned. So there's that.
They have like the frat strap and then they have like the bright red constant
Sun's out, guns out
semi-
kind of
yeah
thing.
yeah exactly in their A-frame tanks. Okay, cool. Well,
Yeah.
come back to see me and Amanda appropriate
Zombie culture.
on Bethany's channel in the end of October, tentatively on the 27th.
Mhm.
But thank you. This is great convo.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys bearing with my choices, and we'll be back in a couple months.
Yay.
Bye.
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 Oh. Did I end it?
Are we live? I don't know.